is Meiko Inoue? At a distance, Meiko seems to be everything society loves to dismiss. Another lost millennial, another aimless graduate, broke, lazy, lacks motivation, doesn't follow parental guidance, not willing to grow up and conform to societal norms. But beneath that surface lies a mirror reflecting back our own most intimate fears. The quiet terror of being ordinary in a world that demands exceptionalism. Her story isn't being an outcast at all. It's about the universal struggle to embrace that most of us won't be extraordinary, and finding the profound beauty in that truth. She's not a caricature of generational failure. She's a testament to the courage it takes to be wonderfully, authentically average in a world obsessed with standing out. Meiko's story starts out in a pretty down in the dumps nature. She's extremely tired, she's obviously depressed, and she can't really figure out why. She's missing something in her life, but she can't really put a finger on exactly what it is. She has a very over-abusive boss, and really the only light in her life is her boyfriend Tanada and her friend group. Now I want to pause for a second here, and I want to point out something that Asano does incredibly well that I often don't see many mangakas do. Now let's imagine you know nothing about this series. If I presented you with each one of these characters, could you guess the main character of this series? Okay, now what about this one? And this one. And this is something that is really refreshing when it comes to anime character design, and something that Asano is very known to do. His characters are so much more immersive than most animes because they feel normal. And when he's attacking the struggles that most of us feel in our everyday normal lives, we feel it even more when we see a character that reflects and resembles more of us. Meiko's story is so relatable to all of us. She wants more meaning in her life. She wants a career that is not an abusive culture. She wants a career that's more fulfilling in her everyday life. She wants to escape the rat race per se, but she doesn't really want to be rich. That's not really a goal that is ever stated throughout the entire story. There actually is a time in the story where Meiko does get the opportunity to hit the high life and see the road that she wants to success, but she loses all potential of creative freedom and she doesn't take it. And that was such a strong point in the story for me, and I'm going to try to eliminate as many spoilers as I can from this video, but it really hit home for me because I'm sure that so many people aren't mentally strong enough to make that decision, where they see the money, they see the paycheck, and they're like, I don't really care. I'm taking it. I don't care if I lose creative freedom. I don't care if it doesn't make me passionate about my work anymore. No matter what, this is the way that I see as an out in my life. And it turns out that you see so many of those people, they turn out not to be happy. They turn out to be depressed, and you wonder why, because when you see them, they have all the money and luxury and stuff like that, but what did they lose to get that? It's sad to think that the entire time that I was reading this story, I couldn't help but think in the back of my mind, what if all the things that she wanted didn't need to seem so unattainable or so unreasonable? What if there weren't so many hoops and hurdles that she had to jump through because society throws them at her, rather than being in a society where she doesn't have to worry about those things? I might lose some people here, and that's okay. But think about it. It's a lot harder to quit a job you hate if that job is connected to your healthcare. You don't want to leave your job and something happens to you and you can't afford the hospital bills and you go into crippling medical debt. It's a lot harder to quit a job you hate when you want to start a new job, but to get to that new job and to that new career, you have to take on $150,000 worth of debt. This is going to sound so sad, but it is so unrealistically true. It is laughable to think that most of us live in a society where we aren't even old enough to drink alcohol, but we're old enough to decide if we want to take on $150,000 worth of debt. We aren't old enough to drive a car without a licensed adult in the passenger seat, but we're somehow old enough to make the decision for our career for the next 40 years. And when we start to open our eyes to these things, we realize that maybe the things that Meiko wants weren't so absurd, and the story becomes a lot more sad when you actually do think about it like that. And I think for me, that is what made the story even more relatable. Thinking about all the different aspects that could be easier in different situations if these things weren't considered woke. But we live in a society that is manufactured that way. We glorify billionaires when, in reality, most of them don't start off with ordinary circumstances. We ignore their exploitation of their workers and our own government because society tells us this is what we should strive to be. The nice cars, the fancy houses, the private planes. But most people don't care about those things. When these things are shoved in your face every day, it has the power to make any sane person confused on the path that they want to take in their life. But a better question we should ask ourselves, why don't we glorify the people who allow our society to function? The teachers developing the next generation. The nurses literally keeping us alive through crisis. The firefighters risking their lives to save ours. The ordinary people. Asano has the incredible talent where, right around the middle part of his stories, he has a catastrophic or unexpected event happen, and we just want to see these people win, so it makes this dreary story even darker. We just want to see some sunlight added to their story, but as the saying goes, when it rains, it pours. We see this struggle in Meiko throughout the story after this catastrophic event happens. Every day, she finds it harder and harder to choose the path that she wants to go down. Then one day, after a life-changing conversation, she's able to figure it out. At this point, I really can avoid spoilers to kind of hit home with the video, so if you haven't read the story, definitely pause the video, go read the story, finish it, come back. It is such an incredible story, you're gonna love it. Now we fast forward in the story, and Meiko has the opportunity to perform on the big stage. Insane to think she has to go from someone who has never picked up a guitar before to someone who can perform on a stage in front of a huge crowd. And she rocks out. We even see flashes of Tanada through her just to really emphasize how amazing her performance was. This was another turning point in the story for me and really showed how disciplined of a writer Asano is. In every other movie, Meiko rocks out, gets the record deal, gets rich, lives happily ever after. But Asano doesn't do that. That type of fantasy doesn't happen for ordinary people. After her performance, Meiko doesn't go back to her old life. She actually creates a new one. She doesn't become a rock star. She actually plans on quitting her job and becoming a mother, even if society always calls her a quitter for always changing jobs. It's something that she's always wanted to be. Meiko realized that all she needed all along was to find the beauty in the ordinary. One scene that really stuck with me at the end of the story is that no matter how much time goes by, the band still finds time twice a month to get together and play. Not to one day make it big or anything like that, just to enjoy each other. Denmark is ranked in the top 3 countries in the World Happiness Report for the past 10 years. There's a fun term that the Danish use called Hygge, or Hygge. Basically, the concept encourages people to find joy in their everyday life. It's about creating a cozy environment and enjoying the simple pleasures of life, while living in the present moment. It's about cheering on the ordinary and loving the blissful joy that comes with it. So after you finish this video, go spend some quality, Hygge time with your loved ones. Pop on your favorite TV show, dim the lights, order some takeout, and enjoy every moment of that ordinary night. And while you do that, don't forget that when tomorrow comes, you have to fight for everything you rightfully deserve that would try to interrupt that special moment, just like Meiko. If you made it to the end of the video, I'm very happy. Hope you enjoyed it. So my final thoughts as far as Meiko, every single one of these videos, I'm just gonna do like an S tier through an F tier, S obviously being the highest, and I'm gonna give Meiko a B. And the reason why I do that is really honestly nothing that has to do with anything that has to do with her character. Only reason is just because the story is really short. It's only 29 chapters, I believe. So you don't really get as much time to bask and really build that relationship with the characters in this story. I think it is still a really impactful story and an impactful character within her. But, you know, just because of the short time, I'm going to give her a B. This was honestly a very fun video to make. I really like to be able to try to introduce the aspect of, like, political theory, I guess, if you want to call it, while also conjoining it with anime, which is also my passion. I really just want to try to use my voice as something better, while also talking about what I love, which is really anime. You'll definitely be seeing more videos like this, and if you liked who I was or myself throughout the video, I'm going to be posting on my second channel that I'm creating. I'm going to be going through anime news and all the different things that are happening within the anime industry. Just kind of a more to hang out and let's chat kind of culture. I'll put that video on screen. If you don't see it, that means I didn't post it yet. But if you do see it, watch the video. And lastly, in fun news, I launched a manga now pay later website. I think as I've just been getting more and more into manga, my biggest issue that I've realized with the industry is that it's just an insanely expensive habit. So I wanted to try to create a solution where people could load up on manga, do a bunch of manga hauls, and pay at their own time. So I launched this website. Definitely go check it out. I'll be talking about it more and more in every single video that I do, but I just wanted to talk about it here, and I'll put the link in the description.